So, hello and welcome back yet again to another day in Azeroth. We are going to be exploring the Deadmines today. We're just going to run through it and maybe learn a little bit of the history, and maybe even see a few sites that you might not have noticed or might not have known about the Deadmines. So before we actually get into the dungeon, we're going to explore the catacombs down below the barn in Moonbrook, and then we will head into the dungeon and just see what's going on down there. Alright, so the first thing you need to know is to get into the Deadmines, you just have to go below this spiffy little barn over here, and up the stairs, and that will lead you into the catacombs that are down here. And back in the day, back before World of Warcraft even started, so back in World of Warcraft history, the Deadmines were actually a gold mine. And they supplied most of the gold and wealth for Stormwind back long before the orcs and the Burning Legion and everyone invaded and did all sorts of terrible things. And when all the wars came and the mines were closed, well then, after that, Stormwind kind of abandoned the entire area. So, if you go down here and just keep on following along, I think, oh no, that just led to a watery area. There's an area of the Deadmines that's truly dead. It's kind of cool and kind of creepy. And I just have to remember how to get to it without going to... There we go. And I think that there either used to be a quest in the dead area, or perhaps there still is, and it's just one I haven't ever done. But it's pretty darn neat. And usually there's a few NPCs that are unique to that area. And I think we just have to go around. I am terrible in caves in World of Warcraft, like, so bad. Although I am very proud of myself, I actually figured out Blackrock. And here we are at the dead area. And as you can see, there are a lot of mobs down here. There's usually a couple of rares in this area. But it's just kind of neat to come down here into the dead zone where even their campfires look a little bit like fell fires, and they seem to be burning skulls, which is a little disturbing, but you know, that's World of Warcraft for you. Now, like I said, I think there's usually a treasure back in this area, or a rare NPC. I'm not seeing anything today. Needless, it's kind of a cool place. And it's just a cool place that you can also pick up some extra stuff, like some skeletal gauntlets. Which, if you're a low level, that would probably be really nice to pick up a blue item at the back of the Deadmines. Alright. Now, onto the mines itself, onto the dungeon. Now, I remember back in the day, it used to be, at least according to one of my friends, that all you had to do to find the dungeon would be to follow the people that were sleeping or laying down, but now it seems to be you just have to follow the line of homeless Stormwind citizens. So, not sure if that holds true or not, but I usually just go by the map. And in we go. Now, like I said, the Deadmines were historically the gold producers for Stormwind, but after Stormwind pretty much abandoned Westfall it was taken over by the Defias Brotherhood. And the Defias Brotherhood was a group of stonemasons and laborers who had a legitimate grievance with the city of Stormwind and the king. They were not paid for their work. And unfortunately, like so many other groups like that, even though they had a legitimate complaint, they eventually turned to banditry, which then led to Stormwind hunting them down, and eventually during Classic, Edwin Van Cleef, who was the leader of the Defias Brotherhood, was killed down in the Deadmines, where he was trying to build a juggernaut ship. Unbeknownst to Stormwind, he had a daughter. His daughter was Vanessa, and she was actually there and saw her father beheaded by the group of Stormwind Raiders. And she vowed revenge, and that is who now has control of the Deadmines. So let's go in and see what's going on in the Deadmines nowadays. Alright, so here we go. Now, your first little room, you're just going to be fighting ogres. If you're a miner, which Beryl is, but we're not going to bother mining, you can get a lot of copper and things like that. You don't actually have to kill everything. It's World of Warcraft. You kill everything. And later on in the mine, there are actually some monkeys that are enslaved, and you can actually use the monkeys to help you fight in this dungeon at level. And it's kind of funny. You can release them, and it's kind of adorable. Or you can just kill them, and then you get out. Alright, our first boss is Glubtrock. Alright, so let's check the dungeon journal for him. It says, in a fit of rage, Glubtrock unleashed his potent magical abilities and reduced his ogre mound to ash. Upon hearing of his destructive talents, the Defias hired the massive ogre mage to supervise their laborers as the head foreman of the Deadmines. Let's see if he says anything fun.
Glubtrock show you the power of the arcade. Fists of Blade!
He's very angry. We should probably put him out of his misery. So I actually heard something very interesting. That the dance that the ogres and the druid Wildkin do is actually a tribute to Chris Farley and his dance that he did in Saturday Night Live. And I thought that was pretty cool. Alright, so you can actually release the mining monkeys if you want to. And it doesn't seem to do anything. Here I thought they were supposed to help. Alright, well we're just gonna kill them. Also, whenever you're doing these dungeons, if you have the time and a dungeon group that doesn't mind, and you have the ability to open up treasure chests, although I think most of these are not locked, but always be on the lookout for treasure chests because you can get some decent gear if you are doing this at level. Alright, so this section of the dungeon is mine bunnies, goblin overseers, and mining monkeys, who I won't go out of my way for, but they are there. And then some oaf lackeys that are guarding the open up the door and into the master room we go. Doing pretty good. I actually really like the transmog that I got for her weapon. I forgot that I had a torch, but I thought it was quite fitting for the Deadmines. I think transmog is one of the favorite things that World of Warcraft actually put into the game for us. Alright, our next boss, we'll go with the Dungeon Journal, and we have Helix Gearbreaker, who is riding a lumbering oaf. Formerly a craftsman in the Bilgewater cartel, Helix was offered a sum eclipsing anything he would ever make as a nameless horde engineer to ply his trade for the Defias. He was quick to accept the job and to renounce his former loyalties, just like any good goblin would. We're going to find out more about goblins starting tomorrow when I go through the goblin starting zone for the first time in probably 7 or 8 years. I have not rolled a goblin in a long time.
The mistress will pay me handsomely for your heads.
Will she? Does he say anything?
Bombs away!
Oh. He's gonna try and blow us up.
I can need him. Not when I've got you, oafs. The scales have tipped.
Oh no! Let's get out of there before those blow up, and that opens the door to the next section. Yay! The next section, we are now dealing with many more Defias. Now this is the revamped Defias instead of the old version of the Defias. Also, there are a couple mobs that are down in this area. Right down here, we've got these Defias Overseers. We don't actually have to kill them, but we're going to, because of course we are. I feel like they used to be a named mob. Also, I am lagging extremely bad. That is the perils of living in the middle of the woods and having woods internet. It's also one of the big reasons that I don't really do dungeons and raids at level anymore. Alright, let's open this rigged door. Oh, no, it's not this one. It's the cannons that are rigged coming up. I do remember something is rigged. And into the Goblin Foundry, where all of these goblins are fleeing in terror. So, let's go down and see why they're fleeing in terror with our next boss. That was not my next boss. That's alright. Alright, our next boss is the Foe Reaper 5000, who I really want a pet of the Foe Reaper instead of just as the Harvest Watchers, but I have my Harvest Watcher pet, so that counts for something. Defias engineers have spent many long days perfecting a new harvester model based on the Foe Reaper 4000 unit. Once it's completed, the Brotherhood believes that this mechanized terror will be able to slice through Stormwind's armored soldiers like a scythe through wheat. Well, we can't let that happen, can we? You know, it's interesting. On my last video on Westfall, I got a comment which really did make me think about the differences between the Horde and Alliance and the different types of evil. Because a lot of people think just the Alliance are the good guys, the Horde is the bad guys, and that's
all systems
not the case. I mean, as with every government, both sides have done terrible things, and both sides have done really noble things. And I stopped and I was thinking about it as much as I could, and I think the difference is with the Alliance, it's a more faceless evil almost. Like, you can't really look and say, okay, well, this leader is evil and terrible and everybody else is good. It's more a very corrupt, at least sometimes, government. That was very interesting. What on earth? Oh, whirling blades. Cool. I don't think I've ever seen that effect before. But yeah, I've always played both sides. I like both of the storylines. By the way, this cannon is rigged, but you know, as long as you know it beforehand, it's fine. You just send your tank up. They usually have enough to soak up everything. Alright, now this is new, I think. I don't remember being bombed along the way, but it's really easy to dodge. Also, there is a bonus boss over on this island. It's Old Beaky. And I think he still drops a battle pet, the only one in this dungeon that I know of, which is the Hyacinth Macaw, which used to drop off either Old Beaky, nope, didn't drop off him today, or it would drop off any of the rest of the macaws. And back until, I think, Cataclysm, it was a fairly, not rare battle pet, but they were much coveted because battle pets were a more interesting thing back then. You couldn't exactly play Pokemon with them. Oh, look at that. See, and that's why you actually have to play dodgeball. But they were a lot of fun. Even back before they put the Battle Pet minigame in, I still always loved Battle Pets in World of Warcraft. Not enough that I could ever say that I'm like a really good pet battler. I usually do my dailies, they help me level, and I am a massive collector of battle pets, but I am not the one to let you know about what strategies to use or anything like that. And there we go, we just got another green wing macaw. Which I'm pretty sure those used to only drop off of killing the macaws, but I'll definitely take that gratefully and probably either give it out for Christmas presents or give it on the auction house. I'll probably give them out as Christmas presents. Usually any extra pets I have around Christmas, I will walk around Stormwind and just hand out pets. Because it's a lot of fun to do. So if you happen to play on Moonguard and see me, I might have a pet for you. Mostly because I love running old dungeons and old raids, and I don't need 5 of every pet. Alright. Now, I'm not actually doing this in heroic mode. Heroic mode has 1 extra boss, so this will be a little bit shorter than it could be. And the final boss that you get is Vanessa Van Cleef. Also, you can mount these cannons if you want to, and take out, I think, it didn't seem to actually do anything. I do believe that that is for possibly taking out other cannons. I've never bothered, but that's just me. Also, I am kind of a completionist. I'm kind of surprised that I didn't go kill all those macaws, because I usually do. But today, I'm not. So yeah, the Deadmines is probably the second dungeon that you will ever play if you are a dungeon person, on the Alliance side anyway. Your first one would probably be the Stockades, which is in Stormwind itself. Alright, well, it looks like we just have Admiral Ripsnarl and Captain Cookie left. Like I said, Vanessa would be our final boss if I were doing this on Heroic, but Admiral Ripsnarl, when James Harrington became afflicted by the Worgen curse, he destroyed his family and his maritime career in one bone-chilling night of bloodlust. Taking on the name Ripsnarl, he fled into Westfall and later agreed to command the Defias Brotherhood's juggernaut. And then after him, we'll have to go fight Captain Cookie, but we will read him afterwards.
Not me! Find her until it is too late.
We probably won't find her. Alright, so your final boss in normal mode is Captain Cookie. And I hit the wrong button again. Cookie proclaimed himself captain of the Defias Brotherhood's juggernaut following its previous commander's death. Although he still performs his official duties as a chief cook, anyone who questions the validity of his captain title has been known to come down with a severe case of food poisoning. I think you get a mace off of Cookie, usually. That's his soup stirrer and bludgeon. And there he goes into the pot. You probably don't actually want to do this, but I kind of wanted to see. Oh, hey, we got some corn, some steak. Look at all this food he's throwing us. Might give us food poisoning though, so we should probably. And what did we get from Captain Cookie? Cookie's Tenderizer. I knew that it was a mace. And then once you're done, if you're doing this in normal mode like I am, of course everybody comes up and says that, good job. And then you can leave by the back door, which I usually just jump off the boat down here. Now, I did also spend a lot of time just kind of examining everything back here, because supposedly there is a gate that you can actually find, which is where Vanessa and her father and everybody were planning on taking this boat out once it was ready. But I'm not seeing it right now. Interesting, though. But yeah, that is about it. Oh, it's that gate right there, possibly. Oh, look at that. Let's get out of the water so I quit focusing on the water and just look around a little bit. If I can get out of the water. Oh, yeah. Okay. Supposedly, if you go over into Stranglethorn Vale, Northern Stranglethorn, there is a gate that you can see that obviously you can't access the Deadmines from, but there is a gate back there. Also, I'm not sure who has been camping here, but it's been a while because they didn't leave the campfire lit like most adventurers do in World of Warcraft. So, like I said, that is the Deadmines. It is a fun little dungeon. It's fun to do on heroic mode. Whenever I do it on heroic, though, I prefer to have a few people because there are a couple mechanics that get a little bit tricky to do solo, at least they used to. So, yeah. Next week, we will be going into Darkshire, which I think will be a lot of fun. And it's a interesting zone. So until then, from me and Beryl and everybody else in the house, have a wonderful week.